Good evening and welcome to SVGTV News for Friday, February 25th, 2022. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. A flash flood watch is in effect for St. Vincent and the Grenadines until 6 p.m. tomorrow, Saturday, February 26th, 2022. A flood watch means that the conditions are favorable and there exists the possibility of flooding within the watch area. The watch came into effect at midday today. Desiree Neverson-Jack of the SVG Met Services said persons, especially those living in areas prone to flash flooding and landslides or near rivers and streams, are asked to remain on the alert.
Trough system is affecting the islands and will continue to affect St. Vincent and the Grenadines into the weekend. We are expecting pockets of scattered light to moderate showers and light periods of rain. Some of these showers may be accompanied by gusty winds and a low to moderate chance of isolated thunderstorms. A flood watch is out, a flash flood watch is in effect. We are advising persons to be prepared and just to be alert that this is what is taking place right now. We are expecting some showers tonight, possibly intensifying late tonight into Saturday, through Saturday, and then some light scattered showers on Sunday.
Neverson-Jack said that 2 to 3 inches of rainfall can be expected and can increase in mountainous areas.
1.5 inches of rainfall are possible within a 48 hours period, that is up until Sunday. Bearing in mind that this is still the dry season, however, in areas like Dumbarton, on average can receive a little over 100 millimeters of rain on average. And so far, they've had 30-something millimeters of rainfall. So there's a possibility that, yes, over 2.5 inches can come in across certain areas in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
The Met Services said a flash flood watch may be upgraded to a warning if conditions warrant. And the Central Water and Sewage Authority, CWSA, said it has activated its dry weather emergency response plans in light of a short-term drought watch up to the end of April, according to a bulletin by the Caribbean Climate Outlook Forum. The same advisory has been issued for Barbados, Western Belize, Dominican Republic, Northern Haiti, Northern Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. The company said a short-term drought watch may turn into a long-term watch for these countries, including St. Vincent and the Grenadines, noting that the report says areas ended up in long-term drought by the end of May may experience lower than usual water levels in large reserves, large rivers, and groundwater at that time. The CWSA said its dry weather emergency response plans include closely monitoring inflows to its systems and storage tanks, seeking the assistance of the general public in reporting leaks and practicing water conservation, asking the general public to invest in water storage tanks or containers, and directing the general public to listen to local radio stations and the CWSA Facebook page to be updated on any planned disruptions in service. In other news, all is said to be well with Vincentian students studying in Russia in light of the ongoing conflict with Russia and Ukraine. The assurance comes from Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves during a call to WeFM's Wake Up Morning show earlier today.
Everything is safe here.
Okay.
Everything is safe here. And just by the way, I was in touch with the chief personnel officer.
Uh-huh.
You know, we have 78 students at the moment in Russia.
Right. Yes. Yes.
And she has gotten in touch with the person who is the point person.
Uh-huh.
And everyone is in order.
Okay.
There's no problem with them, certainly not at the moment.
Prime Minister Gonsalves further noted during the call that he had written a letter to Russia President Vladimir Putin. However, he did not disclose the content of the letter.
I've written a letter to President Putin I'm not disclosing the contents of the letter, at least not yet.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that that he probably would have received it by now. I just wanted to indicate that.
Excellent.
And we are doing work, diplomatic work. Otherwise, I was just in touch with our ambassador to the United Nations. So even I'm on the road, telecommunications helps to do the work.
The Prime Minister added that what is happening with Russia and Ukraine can pose a big threat to gas, oil and wheat prices globally. He was asked if he will be making an official statement on the ongoing conflict. He responded that a statement was already made by CARICOM, which SVG is a part of.
No, CARICOM has made a statement, and we are part of CARICOM.
Okay.
And we are doing what we have to do at the UN. And I have written a letter to President Putin, I just indicated.
Yeah,
I'm not revealing the content of the letter yet.
Right.
But each person would seek to make their best approach in all the circumstances. You know? So I have to use my best judgment in all the circumstances.
The local hospitality industry is showing signs of bouncing back from the global COVID-19 pandemic, which has brought the industry to a standstill for almost 2 years. President of the SVG Hotel and Tourism Association, Kim Halbish, gave our news team a detailed insight of the impact the pandemic had on the industry.
Difficult 2 years. The industry was severely impacted. A lot of persons couldn't pay their bills. It was very difficult. Had to put staff on time off, and it was very difficult. And we were lucky that they had transition periods where persons had to quarantine, so some hotels were able to make some money that way. Never mind, it wasn't their regular rates. We did have the volcano erupt, and some hotels were able to make a little something from the evacuees. The persons that were not well or disabled were allowed to stay in hotels. So that was some of the ways we were able to keep it together. But unfortunately, everyone didn't benefit from those. So the industry really suffered.
In reference to more countries around the world lifting their COVID-19 restrictions, Halbish, who has been president of the SVG Hotel and Tourism Association for almost 6 years, said she believes SVG can also lift some of its restrictions while being cautious and maintaining safe practices.
I'm getting a lot of calls from the travel trade, from the tour operators. When are you going to lift all the need for a PCR on entry? Can we do a rapid test on entry? We've had a lot of persons asking. I had directed my question to the task force, and they say they will get back to me on that. I'm waiting. But I think we don't have a choice at this time, but we have to open up. But I'm advocating that we do it carefully and not just push everything, just let go everything. We need to still be careful because we have moms and older relatives or relatives that have some sort of comorbidity that can, we don't know how it will affect them. So it's better to be cautious, but I see we need to open up.
Halbish encouraged the general public to work together in helping to open up fully the hotel and tourism industry while keeping each other safe.
Stay positive. Let's work to open up. Let's work to make sure we keep the country safe, our people safe, but at the same time grow the hospitality industry, bring it back stronger and better than before.
Welcome back. The COVID-19 pandemic has led to a rise in mental health issues globally, including here in SVG. On NBC Radio this morning, health worker in the Ministry of Health, Roselle Solomon, highlighted the impact that COVID-19 and the restrictions have had on a number of persons.
What we face is going to have maybe, not all the time, an adverse reaction. So with COVID-19, it was no different. COVID-19 highlighted for some people their own mental health issues, in that they may have had poor coping mechanisms before, and now they're struggling to how to deal with this particular issue. There are those who already have diagnosed mental health issues, and now this challenge really pose another difficult challenge, because one, the mental capacity may not be there for them to cope with the mental stress. They may have limited social interaction, because sometimes we tend to forget that those living with mental health issues, they too are functioning.
Right.
Because we only see the aggressive ones or the ones that look how we deem to be mentally ill. But there are a lot of individuals who are functioning between and among us with mental health issues. And now imagine that added stress of not being able to maybe see a family member who really supports you, or accessing the information or medication or that you need. Also, that in itself, it really impacts on an individual, you know, how do I function from here going out? And
To better cope with mental health issues, Solomon recommends persons assess their own behaviors and come up with the best solution to help them cope, while simultaneously coming to terms with what you can and cannot control.
we take some of our lessons from throughout COVID, and we continue with them. First of all, we need to understand ourselves, how we are affected, how we respond to certain situations, and how we dealt with them, whether good or bad. And take that, and how do you make that better for yourself and your family moving forward? So the understanding of certain things give me a headache, or they make me stressful, or I don't respond properly. What did I do? I took a step back. I looked at the situation. Was it really about me or how I felt? And deal with it in a particular way that gets the best outcome.
And giving an update on the SVG Teachers Union ongoing court case against the government on its vaccination policy, President of the SVG Teachers Union, Oswald Robinson, said that the judge is still in the process of reviewing over 700 pages of documents and oral presentations from both sides, which were presented on Friday, February 18th. In a previous interview with SVGTV News, Robinson said that they were expecting the ruling in the case on Monday, February 21st. However, he told SVGTV News yesterday that while they are eagerly awaiting the ruling and hope that it will be in their favor, they understands that the judge has to take her time to go through the documents step by step.
I said the judge has over 700 and something pages of documents you have to go through. Authorities plus the oral submission on both sides, you know. So the judge is taking her time, going through these things with a fine comb, the teeth of the fine comb, in order to make sure that she check the authorities, make sure they are relevant, does it make sense, you know. And when that is done, then the judge would, in her own time, say something. We are eagerly awaiting, we're anticipating it will be in our favor.
The SVGTU president noted that in the court case, the union is seeking judicial review on several requirements of the government's vaccination policy. He further explains what they hope to achieve.
Imagine you going to your workplace for donkey years, and all of a sudden they're telling you if you go there it's illegal entry or unlawful entry. And then they said if you go there and you work, you're considered absent from work. When you go to work and you work, and then they said that if you ain't take the vaccine, you're deemed to have resigned. So we are seeking judicial review on all those. At the same time, we are doing a constitutional motion. So let's say the judge, the court grants us the judicial review. It means that everything else would just fall in line and the teachers would be reinstated with all the benefits. But let's say that does not happen, then we have to debate the constitutional motion, where we are looking at section 17(7) of the Constitution. You understand? And I am excited about it because this is the third occasion we're taking the government to court based on the constitution of the land, which is the supreme law. And most of the time they were using administrative law, but we're talking about constitutional law. You can't be tampering with people's fundamental right and freedom.
The SVGTU is scheduled to meet with the leader of the Tucson Seventh-day Adventist Organization for Religious Liberty, as Robinson noted that as of this week, members of the institute who were granted religious exemptions against the vaccines received letters of redundancy.
How could you tell me I must produce evidence to show about my right to my conscience? How, what is the evidence I must put forward? It's just my right to my conscience, my religious. The Tucson Institute now, a number of them now are getting their letters of redundancy. I'm seeing them coming in. They were told they would get exemption. I heard the Honorable Prime Minister mention that, but that was not really so. I don't know what was the delay. They were going to work, they were still being paid, but as of this week, a number of them have received letters. So I am yet to have a meeting with the leader of the Tucson Institute for Religious Liberty, and I also would have that meeting in the presence of our Industrial Relations Officer, Mr. John, because I said we work as a team.
As we continue to celebrate Black History Month, in this report, we are featuring 35-year-old Vincentian Shafia London Williams, who was recently appointed to head Banks Holdings Limited group of companies in Barbados. London Williams had made history as a woman and a Vincentian, but her journey was not easy. London Williams, who is an island scholar, sat down with Larissa Pugsley Kidd and shared her journey to success.
London Williams grew up in the quiet community of Dixon Village with big dreams, and 36 years later, she has made some of those dreams a reality. Her journey was, however, not easy, and she had her own struggles and challenges. London, who was raised by her grandparents in the early stages of her life, missed out on parental bonding.
I've come to reconcile with them, and I'm in a much better place with them. But I grew up without my parents, and that was really tough, because I think having your parents around gives you that sense of comfort, that sense of belonging. But I wasn't short on love.
Later, London went on to live with her aunt, who was a community nurse, and according to her, she lived in all communities in SVG due to her aunt's duty calls. Under strict supervision, London said she made the bold move in running away from home at age 16.
I mean, I would get jealous as a young girl when my friends would have boyfriends and they would go to parties, they would go out, and she didn't allow any of it. Her thing was, you are coming from a humble beginning and you have to make yourself, and you.
The former girls' high school student is an island scholar, but she said it was only by God's divine intervention that it happened.
To Sylvia Sutherland, she came to me and she said, "You're going to university. You're my daughter's friend, and you're a great influence on her life, and I'm going to pay your way." And I mean, for someone to come to you and say that, it made me realize that kindness exists, that there are living angels on earth.
London was pursuing vaccine technology at a university in London, but took some time off after she realized it was not her passion. Having returned to SVG, she was not afraid to dabble in entrepreneurship, owning Villa Mar at age 23. In January 2021, London Williams was appointed as country manager at the St. Vincent Brewery Limited, becoming the first Vincentian to take up that post. And at the start of January 2022, the 36-year-old took up the lead position at the Banks Holdings Limited group of companies, making her Barbados country manager for Anheuser-Busch, becoming the first woman to hold such position.
So I'm really humbled by that, and I'm humbled as well because I'm Vincentian. So in the eyes of many, St. Vincent's a small island, and I've been able to prove myself and prove that no matter who you are, no matter where you're from, once you're dedicated, once you're committed, you're honest, you're resilient, and you know how to work with people, you can achieve anything. So I've been able to be recognized for that enough to be given the responsibility to lead.
London Williams is grateful to her husband and 2 sons for bringing a balance to her life in a demanding job environment. The CEO has many mentors, including Lennox Bowman. Her advice to others is to set short-term goals and, while putting the effort, enjoy the journey. For SVGTV News, Larissa Pugsley Kidd.